Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Farhanis binti Makno. Before I present my slide, I want to introduce my group members. First, Nurmai Sarah binti Ismail. Second, Siti Nur Syamila binti Muhammad Elias Muhammad. Next, Nurul Izzah Fatihah binti Zainal Abidin. Nurul Hidayah binti Ahmad Sabudin. Nurul Hanani binti Yusuf Elias Abdul Rahman. 1.0 Introduction. Annual report is a document that must be issued annually to shareholders by a public company outlining their activities and financial condition. Each project we choose Syarikat Red Industri Berhad and Fraser and Neave Holding Berhad because we are studying from the Faculty of Hospitality, Tourism and Wellness Entrepreneurship. Ratio analysis uses historical knowledge based on the relationship between personal needs and other variables.
RED was incorporated on 26 November 1993 as a private limited company under the Company Act 1965 by the name of Kompetitif Pertama Sdn Berhad. The companies acquired the entire issue and paid up share capital, Red Trading Sdn Berhad and Red Food Sdn Berhad, and took on the function as a holding company in conjunction with the listing of Red on Bursa Securities. The company changes on 16 February 1994 and adopted its present name. Red was listed on the second board Bursa Securities on 26 1995. The company, through its subsidiary, is primarily engaged that manufacture and distribution secret food, frozen food, and drink food.
I am Siti Farhanis binti Muhammad Noor. I want to present part 3.1 Trend Analysis Company Red Industri Berhad in year 2019 and 2020. Okay, next, type of ratio. First, ratio liquidity. Second, activity ratio. Third, leverage or debt ratio. And last, profitability ratio. Ratio liquidity. Current ratio. In 2019, company current ratio is 1.81 times. Then it is decreased to 1.32 times in 2020. This indicates that company cannot settle their current liability. Quick ratio. In 2019, company quick ratio is 0.99 times. Then it is decreased to 0.61 times. This indicates that the company have ability to pay its short-term obligation without rely on inventories. Last, net working capital. In 2019, company net working is RM 480,24149. Then it is decreased to RM 216,58595 in 2020. This indicates that the company has negative value and absolute measure in liquidity. Second type is activity ratio. First, total asset turnover. In 2019, company asset turnover is 0.77 times. Then it is increased to 0.82 times. Second, account receivable turnover. In 2019, company receivable turnover is 56.34 times or year. Then it is increased to 58.86 times or year in 2020. Third, average collection period. In 2019, company average collection period is 9.60 days to receive. Then it is decreased to 9.32 days in 2020. Last, inventory turnover. In 2019, company inventory turnover is 2.82 times, then it is increased to 30.11 times in 2020. Leverage or debt ratio. Debt ratio. In 2019, company debt ratio is 0.36%. Then it is increased to 0.44% in 2020. Second, debt to equity ratio. In 2019, company debt to equity is 0.27%. Then it is increased to 0.48% in 2020. Last, time interest earned ratio. In 2019, company time interest earned is 1.53 times, then it is decreased to 1.52 times in 2020. Last, profitability ratio. First, return on equity. The company return on equity is 0.10% in 2019 and 2020. It is same. Second, return on asset. The company return on asset is 0.16% in 2019 and 2020 is same. Third, gross profit margin. The company gross profit margin is 0.92% in 2019 and 2020 is same. Operation profit margin. In 2019, company operating profit margin is 0.10%, then it is increased to 0.99% in 2020. Last, net profit margin. In 2019, company net profit margin is 0.08%, then it is decreased to 0.07% in 2020.
I will proceed to part 3.2, Trend Analysis Company Pressure and need Holding Berhad in year 2019 and 2020. That have four types: ratio analysis. Firstly, ratio liquidity. In 2019, company current ratio is 2.21 times, then it is increased to 2.42 times in 2020. Next, in 2019, company quick ratio is 1.48 times, then it is increased to 1.51 times in 2020. Lastly, in 2019, company net working capital is Rm 960684, then it is increased to Rm 1020002 in 2020. This indicates that the company has positive value and absolute measure in liquidity. Secondly, activity ratio. In 2019, company asset turnover is 1.60 times, then it is decreased to 1.30 times in 2020. Next, in 2019, company account receivable turnover is 6.80 times a year, then it is increasing to 6.86 times a year in 2020. Next, in 2019, company average collection periods takes 53.71 days to reserve, then it is increasing to 53.96 days in 2020. In 2019, company inventory turnover is 7.05 times, then it is decreasing to 6.80 times in 2020. Lastly, in 2019, company fixed asset turnover is 2.33 times a year, then it is decreased to 2.24 times a year in 2020. This indicates that the company did not make
effective use of investment in fixed asset to produce revenue. Thirdly, leverage or debt ratio. In 2019, company debt ratio is 0.38%. Then it is decreased to 0.24% in 2020. This indicates that the company have more asset than debt. In 2019, company debt to equity is 0.40%. Then it is decreased to 0.31% in 2020. Lastly, in 2019, company time interest earn ratio is 130.26 times. Then it is increased to 105.04 times in 2020. Lastly, profitability ratio. In 2019, company return on equity is 0.60%. Then it is decreased to 0.50% in 2020. Next, in 2019, company return on asset is 0.12%. It stay maintained in 2020. Next, the company gross profit margin is 0.31% in 2019 and 2020 is same. The company operating profit margin 0.30% in 2019 and 2020. This is same. Lastly, the company net profit margin is 0.10% in 2019 and stay maintained in 2020. This indicate that the company use a same cost structure or maintain pricing strategy.
I will continue 3.3 Comparative Analysis RAI Industri Berhad and FNN Holding Berhad years 2019. Ratio liquidity. First, current ratio. RAI Industri Berhad current ratio is 1.81 times, while FNN Holding Berhad is 2.21 times. This shows that FNN Holding Berhad current ratio higher than RAI Industri Berhad. 2. Quick ratio. RAI Industri Berhad quick ratio is 0.99 times, while FNN Holding Berhad is 1.48 times. This shows that FNN Holding Berhad quick ratio higher than RAI Industri Berhad. 3. Net working capital. RAI Industri Berhad net working capital is RM 48024,149, while FNN Holding is RM 960984. This shows that RAI Industri Berhad that net working capital higher than FNN Holding Berhad. 4. Equity ratio. First, asset turnover. RAI Industri Berhad asset turnover is 0.77 times, while FNN Holding Berhad is 1.19 times. This shows that asset turnover FNN Holding Berhad higher than RAI Industri Berhad. 2. Account receivable turnover. RAI Industri Berhad account receivable turnover is 4.13 times years, while FNN Holding Berhad is 9.80 times years. This shows that account receivable turnover phase and FNN Berhad higher than RAI Industri Berhad. 3. Average collection period. RAI Industri Berhad average collection period is 84.81 days, while FNN Holding Berhad is 53.71 days. This shows that average collection period RAI Industri Berhad higher than FNN Holding Berhad. 4. Inventory turnover. RAI Industri Berhad is inventory turnover is 2.82 times, while FNN Holdings Berhad is 7.05 times. This shows that inventory for FNN Holding Berhad higher than Red Industry Berhad. 5. Fixed asset turnovers. Red Industry Berhad fixed asset turnover is 1.94 times years, while FNN Holding Berhad is 2.33 times years. This shows that fixed asset turnover FNN Holding Berhad higher than Red Industry Berhad.
I will continue this part. Leverage or debt ratio. First debt ratio, REITs Industry Berhad is 0.36%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.38%. Next, debt to equity ratio. REITs Industry Berhad is 0.27%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.40%. And the last is time interest earned ratio. REIT is 1.54 times, while FNN is 113.26 times. For profitability ratio, first return on equity, REITs Industry Berhad is 0.10%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.16%. Next, return on asset. REITs Industry Berhad is 0.16%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.12%. Next, gross profit margin. REITs Industry Berhad is 0.92%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.31%. Next, operating profit margin. REITs Industry Berhad is 0.10%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.13%. And the last is net profit margin. REITs Industry Berhad is 0.8%, while FNN Holding Berhad is 0.10%.
Leverage or debt ratio. For debt ratio, company rate is 0.44%, for FNN company is 0.24%, means that REIT company is the highest better than FNN company. For debt to equity ratio, REIT company is 0.48% and FNN company is 0.31%, means that REIT company is the highest better than FNN company. For time interest unit ratio, REITs company is 0.52 times and FNN is 0.04 times, means that REITs company is the highest better than FNN company. Profitability ratio. Return on equity for REIT company is 0.10% and FNN company is 0.50%, means that FNN company is the highest better than REIT company. Second is return on asset. The REIT company is 0.10% and FNN company is 0.12%, means that FNN company is the highest better than REIT company. Third is gross profit margin. REIT company is 0.92% and FNN company is 0.31%, means that REIT company is the highest better than FNN company. Operating profit margin, REIT company is 0.99% and FNN company is 0.13%, means that FNN company REIT company is the highest better than FNN company. The last is net profit margin. REIT company is 0.07% and FNN company is 0.1%, means that FNN company is the highest better than REIT company. Both of the companies has decreased and increased in some aspects. Financial automation tool allow companies to increase efficiency, increase accuracy, and low risk. In both companies, financial analysis is used to assess economic trends, set monetary policy, develop long-term plan for business activity, and identify project or company for investment. For investor, I will invest in an FNN company. This is because this company is better known than many people than REIT company. If the company is known to many people, of course it has investor and the potential to grow further because investors are not hesitant and decadent to invest in this company.